There is news. There is news in this weird and wacky sport that we call Formula One. It is dense of news today. It's getting chaotic in the lead up to the Hungarian Grand Prix, such that the news might potentially overtype the racing. What do you mean by that, Cameron? Well, of course, first and foremost, we've got to talk about K-Mag. We have to talk about that new upgraded Red Bull. You know, the one that Adrian Newey said to do. Less cooling, less aggressive cooling at least, around shorter, higher downforce contracts. We will talk about it. Two, we got to talk about Yuki Tsunoda's comments. He said that he's ready and it would be weird for them to pick anyone apart from him, especially someone called Liam Lawson. And then finally, we've got to talk about Lando Norris because he's taken aim at those who have been critical. Mention no names, Zach Brown and Andrea Stella. Oh, the humanity, but I digress. Let's talk first and foremost about Flotsam and Jetsam F1 being Kevin Magnussen. He's been rubbish all year and it's long overdue for him to take a step out of F1. Give somebody else a chance. Please see Théo Pourchaire, man who was given the news that he was no longer going to race for Arrows McLaren, a 1-minute conversation. What are we doing? We understand that motorsports is a Shark Tank, but surely extend that dude more grace. He's Théo Pourchaire, F2 champion. What are we doing? And I say all that to say this. K-Mag is done. Gonzo, long gone. Should have been gone ages ago if Haas had had their Weetabix. If Io Komatsu, new team principal as Haas F1, was on job. But no, he's still lingering around. And two, you know what? Let me take some aim at the FIA. That dude should have had an extra 2 points on his super license ages ago. He should have taken a back seat for at least one race, but the FI dropped the ball as they always drop the ball. Inconsistency FC. And again, grant him too much grace, too forgiving, too tolerant, bearing in mind the circumstance that he was 2 points away from a ban. Each and every single time I look at Kevin Magnussen, he's holding up everybody behind him with a view to get Nico Hülkenberg in front of him. Charles Edwards, you're a legend, sir. What's crack-a-lacking? Loving the content. Back on full attack. Let's go. T-14. Russell back with a vengeance this weekend. Charles Edwards Cheese. Put some respect on his name. Absolute legend of the game and lead of the channel. Thank you so much, sir. And it's going to get tricky. Kevin Magnussen needs to take some blame because his performance of late hasn't been good enough. And Formula One is nothing if not a game of what have you done for me lately. As aforementioned, each and every single time I see K-Mag getting some screen time, he's holding up DRS train settings with a view to have his teammate in front of him make a free pit stop and come out in front of him with track position. What is this? What are we doing here, chat? Really though, Charles Edward Cheese? Is this what F1 has become? Surely it's a Royal Rumble if indeed you are capable and have the talent requisite for the premier, the upper echelons of motorsport globally, then you should be racing for yourself each and every single time. Just like George does to Russell. Optimise for your circumstance. Go and get you a pole position, if not a 25 points over the course of a race weekend. But oh no, not K-Mag. Each and every single time, Flotsam and Jetsam F1. Gonzo. Now, he said in a press conference that he feels that he might have a position, an ambassadorial role, maybe as a test driver at Haas F1. Io Komatsu has told him as much. Don't make me laugh. Again, Io Komatsu, if you're going to celebrate mediocrity and continue to employ him, throw good money after bad, then go for it. If, however, you harbour aspirations to become more than a midfield team, a championship leader, then surely at this point there are sufficiently hungry, young hungry lions by way of Théo Pourchaire, by way of Felipe Drugovich, by way of Hajar, by way of Maloney. There are gazillions of them that you can choose from, that you can give a role to instead of K-Mag. Yeah, he was brilliant once upon a time. He was supposed to be the next one. But F1 is a sport, fine margins, a story told in tense. What have you done for me lately, K-Mag, apart from hold up everybody behind you in a DRS train with a view to get the guy in front of you, your teammate, a free pit stop? F1 is not this chap. Goodbye. Have a good one, K-Mag. Enjoy your retirement, sir, but go home. Go home, seek pastures and you do something else. Set up a coffee shop like Valtteri Bottas, but F1, sir, is no longer for you. That train has left the station, sir. Oh, and by the way, Red Bull have produced an upgraded car, and this is where it gets techie, because rumour of argument, rancor, disagreement at Red Bull between Adrian Newey, Pierre Vacher and Enrico Balbo as to the direction of Red Bull's design philosophy has leaked. And it's techie. Adrian Newey told them what they didn't want to do is be too aggressive on the cooling, ergo sacrificing a material level of downforce. Be too conservative, because we know Adrian Newey is a designer, does not have that in his locker. All he wants to do is make the car go fast. And if that means sacrificing some cooling at the altar of reliability, then he will do that each and every single time, won't he? You could see him sketching drawings, upgrades potentially at Silverstone, looking to fix for some of their ills. Remember, can't ride curbs and being caught up by the rest. You see now that they are running 2 cars are the balls that are red. Checo Perez has one. Stasis settings, that's as you were previous Grand Prix. Maximilian Verstappen, however, has something different. The gun barrels that are reminiscent of the W14, the Mercedes car last year, they are gonzo. The shark inlet, gonzo. And again, Adrian Newey has intervened with a view to right the course of the good ship Red Bull over humanity. Again, people are saying Dr. Obbs, the legend of Twitter, aerodynamic GOAT settings himself. He said that this is a temporary measure. Expect to see them utilise this modular setup around tracks that need more downforce, like Hungary. People have likened it to Monaco. A Monaco without walls, some say the Hungaroring. It's going to get techie. Telling you. And Maximilian Verstappen has said as much, that he needs to see these upgrades work. Dr. Helmut Marko, consultant of Red Bull GmbH, encouraging Red Bull to pull their aerodynamic, technical and mechanical fingers out, because Maximilian Verstappen won't be at that team come 2028 unless you give him a car capable of winning races, if not championships. This feels like this is their final gambit, their final push to stave off the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth as Toto Wolff tries to circle the wagons around Maximilian Verstappen for as soon as the 2025 season. Oh, the humanity. Speaking of which, Yuki Tsunoda's come out. He said of Liam Lawson and potentially them appointing him to replace, supersede one Checo Perez, the man formerly known as the Mexican Minister of Defense, that would be outright weird. And I don't blame him. In fact, I concur. Seconded even Yuki Tsunoda. You're the man for the job, chap. But for some reason, whenever Helmut Marko talks about the potential, the probability that Yuki Tsunoda replaces the Mexican Minister of Defense, he poo-poos it, plays it down. Here's what Yuki had to say to that. If they choose Liam Lawson, that would be weird. Weird. Liam did a really good job when he drove in the sim, but I think I did more than that. That I've done more than that in real life, in F1 already. Yeah, Liam was good last year. 5 races, scored points, replaced Danny Rick. Did better than Danny Rick had been doing. Brilliant form. But what are we doing? Tyson, you're an absolute legend, sir. Charles Edward Cheese, far too kind. Again, I can't reiterate that enough. Liam did a really good job, I reiterate, when he drove in the sim, says Yuki Tsunoda, but I think I did more than that, so we'll see how it goes. They know how to manage the drivers, said Yuki Tsunoda. Well, do they really? If they knew how to manage the drivers, would they have really given Checo Perez a 2-year deal? Yeah, we know there are performance clauses that potentially will be exercises effected after the summer break, being Checo Perez can't be more than 100 points or 5 places shy of Maximilian Verstappen. At the time of writing even, he's 137 points away. If he is still that at the summer break, they can exercise that, kick him to the curb. And of course, some speculate that's exactly what's going to happen. However, others say that Christian Horner, that ultimately Checo Perez curries favour with the Red Bull team principal. Oh, the humanity. That's why he got the two-year contract extension in the first place. However, a prerequisite of him signing that 2-year contract extension was this, and this is critical. Word on the F1 curb is that Checo Perez was only able only given the opportunity to sign a contract extension. If in that contract the performance clause took effect immediately, not as at next year when the contract extension kicks in, oh the humanity, that tells you all you need to know about how much confidence Horner, Marku has had once upon a time in the Mexican Ministry of Defense. Oh, and by the way, Lando Norris has come out and he said some things right. People have been critical in the aftermath of the previous Grand Prix. After Austria, he went hard, didn't he? Full send settings about Maximilian Verstappen, saying words to this effect: depending on what Max says, how much accountability he takes or does not, I will or won't have respect for the Dutch 3 soon to be 4-time champion. That will affect our relationship. To reiterate, he needs to apologise. Then, shortly thereafter, walked back all of that, didn't he? Lando no wins. What are we talking about? Mr. Glass half empty. What are we doing, Lando? Surely, mate, you want to get your elbows out? Why are you retracing, walking back all this stuff if you harbour aspirations to win yourself a championship? A prerequisite of that, as at July 2024, will be beating Maximilian Verstappen. Surely, chap, weakness isn't something that you want to show him. Maximilian Verstappen, for the avoidance of doubt, for those that know, he is a shark. If he smells blood, he's going to bite. People love him all over the world for that. But Lando, you need to understand what it is, understand the assignment and institute the strategies accordingly. What are we doing, chap? That Lando no wins is not this. Here's what Lando's had to say. I am happy with my balance. I respect and accept what people say. Already with that, this level of laissez-faire and nonchalance embedded in that clause, I don't like it. Again, if I want to place my money down on Lando Norris to beat Maximilian Verstappen at some point, I do not like it. Here he continues. I respect and accept what people say, but I know how to do what I think, and I know how to do this job. That I know how to do better than 99% of other people. Yeah, 99%. Who's the 1%, Lando? One Maximilian Verstappen. What are we doing? I always try to understand and improve my way of thinking and working. My way of thinking, my way of speaking, he explained. But what I can say and what I think I want and can do it for myself better than anybody else. Let me read that again. I don't need to butcher it. It needs to be verbatim. He explained, but I can say and think what I want, and I can do it for myself better than anyone else. Anyone else, Lando? Anyone else called Maximilian Verstappen? Really, chap? I can't. There is no truth in this, Lando. It is evidentiably obvious that what you are saying is inaccurate. He continues, so I do not care who speaks negatively about me from this point of view. Fair play, chap. But if you didn't care who speaks negatively about you, then why walk back the criticism of Maximilian Verstappen, prioritising therefore your relationship with him over race wins and championships? And here is where it gets techie, chat. What he said he's not going to do, he's not going to behave like an idiot. Orlando, you know what? Sometimes you might have to, chap. Sometimes people say that is a tax of attaining yourself some success. Here he says, I don't care what people say. I'm a good guy and I try to be respectful in every way possible, but that has no relevance to what happens on track. No kidding, Sherlock. And in other news, rain is still wet. Oh, the humanity. He continues, what happened 10, 15 or 20 years ago is completely different from today. If I wanted to, I could be much more of an a-hole and act like an idiot and play that kind of character, but I don't need to. I don't want to, he concluded. Oh, the humanity. This is where it gets very techie, because Lando Norris, sadly, chap, there is a price to be paid. There is a requisite set of tools that you will need to institute in order to become champion. And sometimes, chap, one of the low-hanging tropes in F1, the oldest story in F1 history, is that nice guys finish last. Historically, they do not win championships, Lando. And the sooner that you realise and institute for this, the better. It's the Hungarian Grand Prix this weekend, Lando, and you need to learn this lesson as soon as possible, lest you wish to continue being used and abused by 1-3, soon to be 4-time champion, the man known as Maximilian Verstappen. But I digress.